you very, very much. It's now your turn to get to learn from what we've heard from various universities. University of Nairobi, Strathmore, Daystar, and JK UCAD. Professor Emma, you have a comment? Go ahead.
Emma is my name. Emma is my name. Do you hear? Yes. Okay. I have 3 comments. The question is not only for them, but for the rest of us. I think we need to participate now and give our own views, but they can also answer. One is on cost. I think many people who embark on e-learning or technology-mediated learning and instructions have the misconception that it is cheap when you start. I don't know how many people have done the cost vis-a-vis the cost of face-to-face instruction. And I don't know whether anybody would like to share the data with us. Because when we did this, we realized it was very expensive, although we still moved ahead with it because there were many other reasons. It was not just cost. That is one issue. If there's anybody with some data to share, it will be useful. The second one is about incentives. Our lecturers are very resistant to this new way of teaching and instruction. And I don't know whether there's anybody who wants to share what incentives they have given to their lecturers to change their old ways of using the yellow notes to the modern methods. Whether it is, they fear so many things. Our lecturers keep on moving from one university to another, teaching. They have become what I call teaching machines. They fear about their intellectual property. I don't know what intellectual property is, associated with some notes which you can download. A lot of the resources are available everywhere. I don't know what they fear. But what incentives have you created in your institution? For example, to make sure that the lecturers come on board, because that is one of the biggest problems. The third area is about training. In my understanding, there is nobody who trains the trainers. There is nobody in Kenya who trains the trainers. Even in the region, there is nobody who is training experts in educational technology. In ICT and education. And there is need, this is the direction to move. We missed the Open University, we have been talking about it for a very long time. I organized a conference a long time ago, funded by UNESCO, you remember, Elijah? Yeah. A long time ago, around 2002, and we said we are going to have a policy on Open University. We assisted Tanzania to get off the ground. They have an Open University with quite a bit of enrollment, but we don't want probably to go the Open University way of the old way of teaching. We should be able to leapfrog or even cheetah frog, something like that, and move to e-learning. But who is training these people? So does anybody have capacity? Does any of our universities have capacity to train people perhaps at master's level in the educational technology? Or are there universities that are willing to collaborate to jointly offer a master's in educational technology? We at the University of Nairobi, we are willing to probably create a master's program in this area, but we are willing to work with others to train for the region. In the African region, such a master's does not exist. Even globally, there are very few countries that are training in this area. So those are the 3 areas that I wanted to throw to everybody so that we can be able to discuss. Thank you.
Alex Mumbo, University. I just wanted to ask the panelists. Yeah, we had the first presenter, I think, clearly mentioned that they are using Moodle. But I think subsequent presenters did not clearly come out as to what platform they are using. maybe we would like to know this so that we kind of see the variability, because this has an implication when it comes to sharing of content between the institutions.
Thank you. We can take one more question.
There was a mention of teaching or process using mobile technologies, I think by Dr. Kioro, in conjunction with KENET. Maybe you can hear something about it.
Thank you. Let's first of all address the issues that have been raised. I'm going to ask each of the panelists not to combine. For example, Dr. Emma raised the issue of cost, incentives, and training. So to have as much participation as possible, feel free to take any one of those.
Thank you. I will quickly. In terms of the platform we are using, maybe you will be surprised. We developed our own platform. Those are the days when there were few and we needed to learn how to do it. So we had to develop our own e-learning platform, which we call Wedusoft. We later changed it, enhanced it using other technologies, which we now call Wedusoft Chisipa. It is flexible, it's easy to use, fewer little learning curve, and that's the platform we're using. And then to deal with the issue of the cost, I would look at the cost in terms of three areas. There is the cost of sensitization, very expensive, because you must enforce a certain culture into the people, the culture of e-learning, the culture of technology, the culture of self-instruction, and moving into new world of training and teaching. So that is not easy to deal with. It requires a workshop, it requires workshops, it requires a continuous process. So there's a cost implication. The other issue is in training. You need to train the staff who are dealing with these content issues. And it requires a setup like this one for a week or two and follow up. So it's expensive. And there's a cost implication to that. The third element of cost is the conversion. The conversion and production of materials. Once you have trained the people, you've given them the opportunity to develop the materials, and you need to produce them for distribution, you need to put an element of cost there. In terms of the printed material, the CDs, and uploading this content onto the e-learning platform. You need to use technology experts to deal with that. Then there is the cost of maintenance. Maintenance in terms of the content which is online, updating it, and also changing and removing any erroneous information which is there, even updating it as and when required, maintaining the servers, and etc. So those four elements of costing can bring about the need to have a separate budget for this thing. And in terms of, let me just also deal with it, training of trainers, that's where you begin from. In fact, that's the experience we have perfected at the university. We train a few and they go and train others. And then in terms of capacity for MSc in educational technology, we are ready to move on with those who want to come on board. And as Professor Wema has mentioned, we even have those who are ready to fund us, from external friends. And if there is a university which is willing to come on board, we are ready to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I had forgotten to mention my name. I am John M. Kihoro from JKUAT. They are in charge of e-learning there. So, some data on the system, I can report that from what I can pick from the system, because you can tell it to give you a report, I'm able to note that there are 226 courses on the system, and 1,045 users being managed by 83 lecturers. And it is also important to find out what else is happening. Are they just posting notes? Or there is something else beside the notes? I am able to find that there are 5,813 questions in this database. So it means the system is being used for testing, and that is a good move. So I want to address a question that was asked on mobile learning, and this is what I have to say. This is a project that is ongoing. We are already halfway. We have not even started engaging the learners, but what we are trying to do is to find out how learners can learn when they are mobile. It is not about using the mobile phone. It's about using handheld gadgets, and you are able to learn when you are on the move. Okay? So the gadgets we are testing includes the mobile phone, of course, the tablets like the ones we are having here, and maybe even the laptops with the Wi-Fi or the Safaricom modems. And we have been able to do some few things. And as I said, we have configured the Moodle system. And if you have your phone, you can just try to access the site and see whether you see the content will be formatted to fit the screen of your mobile phone. And the site, if you want to use it, you can try. It is www.jkuat.ac.ke/e-learning2. E-learning at the number 2, because we have the other site that we have been using for the other approach. But let me clarify. It does not mean that this site must be accessed using a mobile phone. It should sense whatever you are going to use. If you use a computer, it will give you the interface of a computer. If you use a tablet, it will give you the interface of a tablet. If you use a small phone, it will still detect that. Thank you very much.
Let me just also mention something quick, because we've also developed actually a mobile learning platform. And it's got 3 features. I have it here with me, and it works. It's got a library. It has got the community, all the students and the teachers in that particular community. And it's also got the classroom. You can get into the classroom at any time. And basically, my research was actually focused on trying this one out. So you get to class, and as you do your test, by the way, incidentally, anyway, I don't have much volume to give you, but the point is this: using this, the student is able to interact with other students and the lecturers, and at the same time, we're able to monitor from a back end when they went in, what work they did, when they actually submitted their quizzes, and we're able to grade those quizzes at our back end and send them the results using SMS. And that's what I was testing. How does it work as compared to face-to-face learning? Let's hear from others regarding the question of training, incentives, and cost.
Regarding training, there is one thing that we are doing in Strathmore is we are following a kind of a theory of a certain chap called Mike Potter. He's a professor. He used to come regularly to Strathmore to give that course on scorecard, isn't it? Yes. So yes. So it seems it's no longer a very exciting product. So anyway, but the fact is that he has a kind of philosophy that he says that if a university wants to remain relevant, it has to partner with the government, and it has to partner also with the private sector. So we are trying to do that, and then a number of good things has happened. It's sponsored, for instance, by HGP. We have developed a diploma for primary teachers. We have trained 1,500 people, and then what happens is that these people have been trained the schools now perform better in the next national examination, and then the government has seen it. So instead of, say, giving money to Strathmore to foster that thing, they did one thing which is, I think, better. They said whoever goes into that diploma and gets that certificate gets a pay rise. That was an interesting thing to the government. And then with the private sector, we have signed a MOU with Safaricom, by which they are sponsoring 55 students at master's level. We have developed a master's called IT and Innovation. You see, the mobile platform is an industry now, and a huge one for that matter. And there are few people doing capacity building for that industry. So this course is an interesting one. They go and they learn all sorts of platforms on how to program in mobile for any use, education and health and all. So right now, these 55 people are fully sponsored by Safaricom. They also are giving us, they are changing their servers, and they are giving us the old ones. It's a nice gift because it's a $300,000 market value, and we are going to use those servers and those very fast, the storage capacity for simulations and things like that within that course. And what happens that this became quite exciting for other people. So we have about 90 students. 55 are sponsored by Safaricom, but the others are paying for themselves because they envisage that this is a very good master's and will throw them into very good jobs. So at least some few things are being done in terms of training. And then I think the, again, take-home message is for all of us, for all universities here, to try to see whether you could develop some similar products because the market is there and it is huge.
We still need to deal with the issue of incentives. Can we hear that loud and clearly?
Can I just say something very fast on that? What happened with the research methods project? Because it was funded, some parts were set apart for digitization. And each person who was to participate was supposed to get $1,500 after you deliver a whole product, that's the whole course. And on top of that, members was being facilitated through workshops like this one. In fact, the first one we took them to Kampala, and then they did some bit of the work. Then we had another one allowed here in Naivasha. But let me tell you, it has not been that good. Because so far we have only been able to comprehensively do 6 out of the target. When you talk to these lecturers, they tell you they are not available, they have no time. And some of them had even been paid the first. That's a mistake.
Thank you. Let's get back to participants on the floor.
Thank you very much, and it is a privilege. I want to suggest this and following what Silva has said. I hope that is the name.
That's Silva, yes.
I'm saying that we already have the sister institution, and we are your colleagues. Do I hear like we are expected to go back and begin this individually? My suggestion is this: using KENET as our platform, why don't we use these people as, you know, as our starting point, and each one of us as leaders, we go back to our institution and take a deliberate move into having these people as our resource, and we identify people who can work with them in our individual institutions, and then from there we will pick it up, because some of these things might not need us pleading so much with the, are you available or not available, yet I'm seeing that this is the way we should go. I recently interacted with another professor in Canada. He has a university with 4 buildings. He has 19,000 courses that are being offered. and he has 40,000 programs that are being given with 250 faculty. And for each student, he has 7 tutors for that one particular student. And I was amazed. You know, that kind of level. So my request is, as we are here, we agree that University of Nairobi, Strathmore, Daystar, Jobat, you work close with Professor Meoli, and then all of us come in and we will identify individuals from our individual institutions, maybe take 2 weeks, have those people taken through, then they come back and we see, because the incentives and the trainings must be at the different levels, because this is the way we should go. Thank you.
Thanks. Over here, and then at the back.
One thing, so just okay. One thing that one must admit is what Professor Miriam has mentioned about the human network KENET started, and I would like to endorse that point, that we leverage on the expertise that is coming from various institutions to lift each other to where we ought to be. Although we are competitors, we are also partners. And we must always balance that. Even the great universities, say the Oxford, Cambridge, and so on, when it comes to collaboration, they also collaborate because it's also part of the strategic direction, because we must not forget, finally, it's about Kenyans as we compete. Now, the issue of incentives, it was good to hear that. This is a real difficult area. I remember what we tried at JKUAT, it failed. Then we came, when it came to a small university, which is private, you have more leverage, because you can tell them, if you don't want to do this, you can get out, you know. But also that always doesn't work. What the issue of content, the way we have developed, for example, we have digitized all, because it's a mandate that if you are a lecturer in a university, you must digitize content, full stop, as one of the deliverables. So it is also the policies, I think, from policy framework, what you have in terms of deliverable of a lecturer. But the issue of incentives actually finally comes in terms of student support. Because you can produce all this content, it is digitized, and that we have. But then when it comes to support of students, they say, okay, you wanted us to provide the content. It is there. But you are not the one who teaches in the administration. It is the same people. So the issue of support. So what we have done, said, if you produce a course and then you support it, 30% of the total revenue will go to the teachers. 30% of the total revenue will go to the teachers. We haven't said how it's going to be divided. But even you think when you have done that, that you have won. No. So it looks as if finally, and from the studies, it's not an issue of money, although we think it is. It is not an issue of even maybe the digital, because we have produced the digital content. It's the whole total mindset. And maybe what we should focus on is how do we change the mindset that this is the way of the future, and without going this way, as somebody said about Serena, we're all going in a way to die, because that's the way this is going to produce it. And especially the students we are dealing with, if they are on Facebook and Twitter every day, they are going, first of all, to say, I don't want your classes. You do not talk to me in the language I know how to talk in. So they are going to make, actually to become, we are going to become irrelevant to our students, because they are living on a completely different paradigm. So I wanted to mention this. This is actually an urgent issue, I think, for all of us together as universities. And maybe we should see how we could use the combined forces of best practices and what has worked for you that we could borrow, because we are talking about the same ecosystem. And as unlike the European system, we are in the same ecosystem, and the way your students talk and feel exactly like, most likely the way also my students feel, and therefore we have a great deal. And maybe this is where KENET is a major way in terms of bringing those views, what works, what doesn't work, and engaging all of us in, like, especially the training. There was asked about the training of trainers. Okay, I think what Tim asked, I think this is a crucial area, because even the people we use for training within the universities, they have not been trained to deliver content on a digital platform, because basically that's what it is. There's some work that we are doing at Norero University, and we are also doing like with Kagumo, and some training that we started actually this week of producing trained TOTs for certificate course for teachers, like the way Strathmore is doing, outside there, because if you see what KIE has done, it has digitized its curriculum, but they have forgotten about the teacher in terms of capacity building. So again, we agreed with the ministry, with TSC, and also with KIE, that we actually produce a curriculum for actually training the teachers to be able to deliver on a digital platform. And the training of trainers programs, because we can't train that as a university, started yesterday with 5 teachers from Kagumo, some from another of the higher college, some from us, to start creating those training of trainers who can go and train within the institutions. And now when Tim mentioned about a master's program, we would support it. The rest is the details. Thank you.
Let's hear, there's a comment at the back, and then we come back to Silva.
Thank you very much. My name is Grace Akala from University, and a lot of issues have been going on through my mind when I had the panelists talk. It is issues that I have also been grappling with at Moi University. The issues of training and sensitization, the issues of change of attitude, and I think my previous speaker has spoken. Issues of costs, particularly like when I think initially we thought it would be easy to just start off the e-learning or distance education, but we realized that it requires a lot of cost to be put in. The challenges of content, and I think this is where we have a big problem, because we have the lecturers have their own materials, they have their notes, but when we want to bring them on board now, it becomes a big problem. We have also tried several ways, training, we have tried to get people to come in to provide content, and it's still a challenge. I have also heard from the panelists that most of them are actually going the blended way. That's also what we have decided to do with that at Moi University. We just told people, bring in, even if it's your PowerPoints, we start off first of all, so that I know as we get used to using the platform, then probably we can also get the e-learning way. So what I'm just saying here is that each university seems to be going on its own, trying to reinvent the wheel afresh. And I think as again the Vice Chancellor from Baraton has said, it is, we are having more or less the same problems. Is there a way that we can be able to harness and learn from the experiences of those who are already gone ahead, so that we can be able to move on and probably now even concentrate more now on other issues and having to restart again the same issues, yet we are in a forum that we can be able to support each other. Then the MSc in IT education, I think I've also been looking even for staff who can assist us in this area, and we have a big problem. Even where you can send them for training is a big problem. So I think this would be a very welcome idea that if we have to start that, then we have even people on board who can even go on. Even some of us would be willing to go back to class to start learning that kind of, so that we can be able to provide the relevant or the right skills for the others. So what I'm also noticing is that we have the changing learner profile. Of late, we are seeing that there is more and more students who are working, who are coming on board. They don't have the time to come and sit in the classes. So that actually gives us the significance that we need to have more of the e-learning coming in. Otherwise, you don't have those people in the class and they cannot come and sit, have the time to come and sit in face-to-face sessions. So I think there is need for us to get the content provided for flexible learning, so that we can enable to capture the students. And also we even realize that even the other students, as they would prefer to have either content on, that they can be able to access flexibly by themselves, instead of maybe us coming to sit in class and talking to them. The view that we've had through blended learning, for example, they keep on asking, are all the courses available through e-learning so that we don't either have to keep on struggling writing notes. So we see that they don't like writing notes. They like accessing whatever is available, and then they can use their other time to interact. We see, for example, that when we use our platform, which I studied more like one of the University of Nairobi, the students like the discussion forums, the chat forums. They are very happy with those kind of situations. And even the M-learning, they've asked us severally about the M-learning, and we're also trying to see how we can be able to integrate the mobile technologies into our own e-learning platform. So I think this is the way forward for us to go, and I think if we went as a unified force, then we'll be able to access or get more of the success that we'll be able to. Thank you.
In less than 2 minutes. We need to move on to the next part of the program. So if I say thank you, it means that it's okay, your time is up.
Right. The issue is on the incentives to lectures. Until 2010 in Strathmore, every 1st of January you would get a pay rise. That was period. Now we have changed it from 2010. Now human resource has gone to each individual, says you have a JD, job description, you have key performance indicator, and we do quarterly evaluation. And based on the evaluation, you get pay rise, or you don't get pay rise, or you are sent home. Now, one of the key performance indicators is e-learning and the e-teaching. So we ask them that thing will go into their portfolio, and it's going to be gauged for them to be given money for conference, money for research, pay rise, and promotion in their portfolio. That's an interesting way of incentivizing people to go and learn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will say, in terms of incentives, we have 3 aspects we are looking at. One is already implemented. Every member of staff at the University of Nairobi is evaluated in terms of your performance. December, November. And there are 2 key indicators there. One, your use of technology for teaching and learning. And you must indicate there. There's a mark for it. And 2, how many courses or your presence on the web. You also have to indicate that indirectly. That question is there. The second aspect is in terms of promotion. When you go for promotion, you are normally asked to explain how you are using the road we have created, the infrastructure road, nice infrastructure road at the University of Nairobi, to enhance teaching and learning. That question is a standard question for all members of staff who are going for promotion. The third one, which I mentioned earlier, we're trying to have a charging model, to implement a model where students or those who are going through the course can contribute a small percentage of the fee, so that those who have developed the material can recoup from them. The other point, last one, you can go to www.learning.unbi.ac.ke. In short, just say learning.unbi.ac.ke. All the information I'm talking about, the courses and everything, is all there. And any smart device can be used to access our e-learning courses. Thank you.
I feel that the issues raised by Professor Waebo are very vital, and addressing number 3, the training component, will help us a lot in solving some of the number 1 and number 2 issues for the following reasons. Some of our costs, I believe, are arising from inexperience. If we are well trained and we move on with the implementation, we will be able to go back and find out where we are more costly and reduce that. And that should come up through training. Training will also give us sensitization of the lecturers. I believe it is not incentives alone, but it is inadequacy in terms of ability to perform and to use the technology and the tools that we are using to deliver. We are still used to the old one. It is like driving a car. You would want to buy a car, but when you go to a driving school, you feel that your instructor is not friendly at all. But by the time you learn it, you wouldn't want to leave it. And through this training, much as we want face-to-face, let us also try to integrate the e-learning and distance learning through this training to sensitize our staff And therefore, we only need to have a policy and stick to that policy, see how we can implement it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Mioli, I think as a way forward, listening to what our participants are saying, one of the things that we need to do is create a platform where we can showcase what people have done. And that's something you can probably organize, because at a conference like this, you probably would have spent maybe an hour doing that. Just showcase. The second thing has to do with research. How effective is e-learning? Other people should tell us and show us that it is effective, but we do need actually to do our own research and alongside the institutions that are doing this and find out how effective it is, and also work on costs. Ultimately, we all need to change, but I think those 2 points of action could help us do something to move forward. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, we would like to see a lady next time, but for now, shall we clap for these gentlemen?